Look, I guess the other thing about the Kiwi way, it's about sometimes being a bit of a pain up the A, having a bit of a crack, having a bit of a go. And a number of people did this particularly over COVID, over the period of COVID and COVID restrictions. And some of us have quite strong views about that, one way or t'other, because COVID and the restrictions, more importantly, of COVID had a massive impact on our lives. One of the people, and I'm not sure that I always agreed with the way he did it or what his message was about it, one of the people involved in that, and what some would call the anti-vax movement, was a guy called Billy Te Kahika. Billy, everyone I know tells me Billy Te Kahika in his genes is a great musician and a great guitarist. But he's also been accused of being a grifter, a self-styled man of the cloth or pastor, and a bit of a con artist. And he's got some grey stuff in his background about trying to get into police college and a few other things. But right now, Billy Te Kahika, and he's also been involved in those fringy politics that never get into Parliament. But Billy Te Kahika right now is under threat of going to prison over his anti-COVID or his lockdown protest or civil disobedience stuff. And I think this is an interesting story worthy of consideration, given that people we really should be worried about are cutting off their ankle bracelets and going AWOL 5 weeks before an election, but we're not told until afterwards. But still, Billy Te Kahika must go to prison, according to our judicial system. He joins us by video link now. Billy, thank you. Firstly, thank you for coming on. I know we haven't always had the smoothest relationship, but I appreciate the fact that you're here.
Yes, kia ora, good morning, Sean. It's Billy Te Kahika, just to set the record straight there with my name. But no, I take it the same way, Sean. Thanks for having me on the show today. Regardless of whether we agree with each other or not, just taking stock of what you're saying earlier, this is meant to be a free and open society where we talk about the issues, we talk about disagreements, and we try and work them out and solve them together. And that's really what this is about.
Okay. Let's take us back. You can tell the story. What did you get arrested for? What were you doing that led to your conviction?
Well, number one, Sean, in 2020, as you're aware,
3 years ago.
Yeah, I know, it's gone so quickly, hasn't it? It's just incredible. I led the largest civil liberties and concern voter movement ever. Now, I'm not particularly anti-vax. What I am is pro-choice and pro-freedom and civil liberties. And I was very concerned that with the rise of the authority of the COVID-19 Public Health Response Act, that we were going to lose those very foundational pieces that we've been talking about, and I've been listening to your show this morning, that make New Zealand, which is the right to choose, to have a different opinion, and especially have control and sovereignty over your own body and what goes into it or not goes into it. In this particular incident in 2021, on the 18th of August, I protested against lockdown harm, and the reason I had done that, Sean, is that the year previous and leading up to that
Billy,
point...
what you're doing is classic grifter stuff. I asked you a really simple question. What happened on that day that you got arrested for and convicted for?
Well, if you listen, I'll tell you. So number one is...
Yeah, hopefully this week.
So hold on. Yeah, well, good. I'll get there if you let me finish. So I was protesting against lockdown harm because I'd seen it the year before, Sean. Hundreds and thousands of people have reached out to me on the brink of either killing themselves or someone.
Can we cut to the chase, Billy? What law did you get arrested for and convicted of?
No, what I did is I protested against lockdown harm, which is a breach of...
No, it's not the question I asked you, Billy. We're not going to get very far. I'm the interviewer. You're the interviewee. So I'm asking you a question. What was the law you were arrested for? What were you arrested and convicted of?
So, breaching, which I was trying to tell you, breaching a COVID order issued by the minister responsible for COVID-19, and also Ashley Bloomfield as Director General. I was arrested for protesting during a level 4 lockdown, like many others did.
Yeah, no, was it for protesting or gathering in a public place of a large group of people? That was fundamentally what the prohibition was, wasn't it?
Well, actually, this is the strangest thing, Sean. If you look at transcripts through my court cases, you'll see actually at the end of it, it was for not keeping social distancing of 2 meters.
Yeah, okay.
And so, which is very strange considering it was an order.
But look, that was the law. You got convicted, and it was a pretty weird time, Billy. What did you think? I mean, I think we're going to look back and think those laws were crazy, and the idea that you had a law that you could convict someone on that was crazy. But you stand up and you get pinged and you go through the court process. What now is the punishment they seek to impose on you?
Right, so the punishment for the said offence was either a $4,000 fine or 6 months prison or a $1,000 fine. Now, there was myself and another gentleman in Northland that were charged with the same thing, attending and organising a protest against the order, and he received a $100 fine and let go, and I was sentenced to 5 months prison, reduced to 4 months prison because I'd spent 19 days under house arrest, and essentially what we had done is I'd worked with the police on every protest that I'd ever been involved with, and had worked with them again that day. Everything was meant to have been fine. We were just about to finish, and then they arrested me in the last 5-minute segment of the event that day. So for a peaceful protest, simple as that.
This is 3 years ago, Billy. I haven't seen you on a personal crime spree in the last 3 years. You don't have facial tattoos. I haven't seen you ram raiding a dairy. Or indeed, really, apart from some pretty minor stuff, engaging in disruptive political or protest activity, Billy. You don't seem to me to be a risk to society. Have the officials asked themselves or asked you that question while they insist that you go behind bars?
Yes, they did actually. They did do that, Sean, and you're right. I'm certainly no risk to society. I believe in law. I do. I absolutely believe in law. It needs to be in place to protect society. And what we had, as you pointed out wisely, I will say, that 3 years later, we now know that the very things I was protesting against were valid.